There was a time when the Bay City Rollers were Britain's biggest boy band and Roller Mania was a global phenomenon. I had those tartan trousers. Well, 40 years on from those heady heights, a warts and all documentary explores the darker side behind the cheeky smiles. It's broadcast on BBC Scotland tonight.
The Rollers should be remembered for their glory days.
They were undoubtedly the biggest pop group before One Direction or any of these things came along.
Invention of boy bands became an industry, thanks to the Bay City Rollers, I think.
It simply has everything. The deals that go wrong, the ripping off of young, innocent people, and of course at the heart of all of this is just great summer pop music.
Well, joining us now is former Bay City Rollers guitarist Stuart John Wood. Good morning to you. And before we get to the bad times, just tell us about the good times. It must have been absolutely mad, was it for you?
It was certainly different, let's say that.
But in a good way at some points?
Oh, definitely, yeah, of course. I mean, I heard the wee bit before there, but, it certainly wasn't all bad. It was more good than bad. The only bad side of it is we're still chasing after our royalties. But apart from that, it was all quite a big adventure.
And was it overnight success? Did it all just happen really quickly for you?
No, anything but. The guys actually started in 1967. And I joined the band late 73, so, before I even kind of got to that stage, the guys had already been up and down the country for 7 years, so
yeah.
They certainly put in the slog.
And you had at one point, I mean, we were just talking in the office, I think last week, that everybody had a bit of tartan paraphernalia, and my sister cut her fringe really short. Like, look at family photos, I think you'd ruined most of them. When did things start to go wrong for you then?
Wrong, I wouldn't say things went wrong, it's just certain things never took place. Once again, it was really the royalty side of things. The band, we all got on quite well. We went through a few changes late in the 70s, and it was just a kind of whirlpool of adventure. It was crazy for a few years, and then it sort of calmed down eventually,
and
which was probably good.
Well, and that's what happens in pop music, doesn't it? You bands come, they peak, and more often than not they disappear as well. But on that issue of the royalties, I mean, do you and the other members feel bitter about how the whole thing panned out?
Well, it's still ongoing. We still have lawyers on the case. It's still very much an active legal suit that's going on in the States as we speak.
So what's the issue? Do you feel you've just not had enough money from the millions that have been generated by the success of the Bay City Rollers? I
mean, there's a lot due to us, but thankfully, I think most of us have had other things going on in our lives. Personally, I don't rely on anything coming from that. I've got plenty of other things on the go and have had for many a year, so I'll just leave it to fate and see what happens there.
Is it just because, you were so focused on the music, though, all the other side, the kind of business side and the management side and everything, you just didn't have an eye on that, really? I mean, most bands wouldn't really at that time.
You presume that, you're sort of paying managers and lawyers, accountants, all that. You think that they're kind of looking after your interests, and obviously that wasn't the case with us.
Can you walk down the street now without people mobbing you, Stuart?
It depends. If I'm out in my swimming trunks, then you'll probably get a funny look.
And I mean, just thinking back,
it must have been weird.
Yeah, the biggest band of the time, and everybody has a story and knows you. I mean, it just must be amazing still to carry that in your memory.
I mean, I remember going, we actually took a week break in Jamaica. In the sort of mid-70s, and we were still kind of walking about in our tartan gear, getting all these strange looks from the locals. We just never, I think we even pyjamas were all tartan as well.
Well, Stuart, thanks very much indeed for joining us this morning. That's Stuart John Wood, and you can relive the tartan glam with Roller Mania, Britain's biggest boy band, on BBC One Scotland tonight at 9 o'clock.
I think that's a must-watch. That's it from us. Back tomorrow at 6, but now here's Kay.
I can't believe you two were speaking to Woody and you kept your cool.
Honestly, it's quite something, isn't it?
Oh, wow.
I bet you were obsessed.
Well, I was, actually. I was. But Eric Faulkner came from Grangemouth, so he was my man.
Ah, the local boy done good.
Absolutely. OK, speak to you tomorrow.